Campsite Media.
Hello?
What is this? What do you want
What
me to
is
say?
going on here? Like,
Oh, it's just,
why?
Chameleon.
Okay?
You're listening to Chameleon.
A production of Campsite Media.
Oh.
I'm going to tell you a story for a minute about consequences. About what can happen when people close to you are reckless, and then you're in trouble with them, even though you didn't do anything. There was a guy in Florida named Ghassan. He came to the United States and he married the love of his life. And shortly after they tied the knot, they had a son. Born in Florida, Ghassan's son was an American citizen. And Ghassan expected to make a new life for himself and his small family. The American dream and all that. It should have all worked out, this American dream. He had a business with 2 locations. Ghassan liked to drink and party, and that first year with a screaming baby in an apartment was rough. And so Ghassan would hit the bars sometimes. Sure, Ghassan wasn't perfect, but he was a good guy, straight as an arrow, a rule follower. He knew a few people who weren't so good, who didn't play life so straight. And at one point, they tried to tempt Ghassan into getting involved in a criminal scheme. A serious but victimless crime. No one would have been hurt. Ghassan said, "No thanks. Life's good. Why cross the line?" The problem for Ghassan was that those people he knew, the ones who tried to tempt him to participate in that victimless crime, they weren't quite as adept at sniffing out bad situations. And so these people Ghassan knew, they got in the crosshairs of the FBI. And so did Ghassan, simply for standing next to those people, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't mean this metaphorically. There is a Ghassan. He's real. Off to jail he went. This story about Ghassan, it's at the heart of this entire venture, this whole podcast we're making. How and why? Well, we're going to get there in time. I'm Trevor Aronson. From Campsite Media, this is High Rollers, Season 2 of Chameleon. So last episode, I told you about how Emile had problems with his diet clinic business, and also how he got into a feud with a Las Vegas lawyer, Paul Pata. Now, Emile wants to build back his weight loss empire, make it even bigger and better than the last one. He just needs more investors, of any kind, from any location. He's sitting in his clinic in a manicured office park, trying to figure out what to do. It's nice here, pretty upscale. All around him are sand-colored buildings with peach-colored trim. And that's when a guy named Michel walks through the door of his Las Vegas diet clinic. He's not at all like Kevin Romney, the straight-laced businessman from Utah, who I told you had invested in Emile's business last time. Michel is a pot-bellied man with a Moroccan accent.
He's fat. He's got probably 50 pounds to lose.
But Michel isn't just there to shed a few pounds.
And he starts talking about business, and he has investors in China and all this stuff, and they're looking to invest here in the States. And I'm like, well, this is the company, this is what I'm trying to grow. He invites me out to dinner a couple of times, comes in a couple of times to my clinic, just starts chatting about business.
Now, it's important to remember, Emile's an opportunist, and he's not alone in Las Vegas. And I don't mean that as a slight. I've met so many opportunists in my career as a journalist, in places like Miami, Los Angeles, even Phoenix, Arizona. I've admired many of them. There's a certain honesty and scrappiness to being an opportunist. But as far as I can tell, nowhere are there more opportunists right now than in Las Vegas. Vegas these days is a boom town. There are glitzy casinos, sure, everyone knows about those. But there's also a legal marijuana industry with dispensaries, some the size of a Best Buy, now dotting the city. Cosmetic surgeons have been moving in from California and the East Coast. Tech companies are even setting up. In real estate, condos rising downtown and near the Strip, and suburbs of newly constructed housing developments sprawling into the surrounding desert. There's a feeling that you can build anything you want in Las Vegas, even pools in the middle of the desert. There are a lot of pools in the Las Vegas suburbs. So like others in Las Vegas, Emile's always looking for the next big score. And then In walks this guy Michel, who might be that score. Here's Emile.
He started saying, listen, I got these powerful people, they're Asian, I believe, and they want to invest in someone. They have real estate, they have transport, they have, nutrition and all this stuff.
This sounds pretty good to Emile. In Vegas, if you walk up to a few people and say you have $10 million to open a restaurant chain, they'll immediately have an idea, an angle, a way of getting a piece of that action, even if they don't know a thing about running a restaurant. That's just Las Vegas right now, home of the hustlers. So Emile is open to what this guy is saying.
And I'm like, great, then let's set up a meeting at something like that one day. And then he keeps coming to my clinic and so on, and just, talking to me.
Emile and Michel leave things like that. But then Michel returns to the clinic a couple of weeks later. In the rest of this episode, and actually this whole series, you're going to hear many of the secret recordings that I've uncovered. They aren't always the easiest to understand, so you might need to listen closely. Anyway, here's Michel and Emile greeting each other on the day Michel comes back to Emile's clinic.
Michel, my brother, how are you? How you doing? Comment ça va?
It doesn't seem like he's lost any weight, but well, that's not why he's here anyway.
You good? Good. I was out. That came in.
Where did you go?
I went to Paris and London.
Emile's pretty psyched. Michel seems like a high roller, an international businessman.
But listen, I have some good news. My guy is coming next week. He's going to take you to dinner.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Good, man.
So that's
Chinese
it.
guy? Good.
Yeah.
So
Asian, my Asian.
Yeah, Malaysian, Chinese.
Yeah. So he's coming next week. So
Good.
we're going to go have a nice dinner somewhere, and
Let's do it.
we're going to, close the deal, my brother.
I hope so.
Oh yeah. We will go to a steakhouse, wherever you want. We go, no problem. You want
Michel is telling Emile about his business associate, a wealthy man of the world, who's interested in investing in Emile's weight loss enterprise.
We've been busy, man. Busy. Very busy, yeah.
Everyone is busy. It's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, in his field, being busy is good. That's when money's going in and out.
And that's what he does now. He's loan money, basically. That's what he does for the most part.
That's all he does,
All he does is loan money. That's what Michel says. Emile can't help but see the dollar signs. His next big score. More after the break.
You're listening to Chameleon from Campside Media. You're listening to Chameleon from Campside Media.
So when we left off, Michel and Emile were talking about Michel's business partner. He's got a lot of money, Michel says. And at this point, Michel has something else to say about his business associate. And, well, he might not be exactly on the up and up. He runs massage parlors, the kind where men leave very happy.
Listen, I want to repeat to you because I know he's going to ask you again. He's going to, when he's there, he's going to ask you himself, do you know where the money comes from? I mean...
And that's fine, but why do I have to know? I don't have to know.
Huh?
It's better if I don't know, no?
Well, no, but he want to know what the person is dealing with. I mean, he want to know that at least that the money's from from prostitution and ecstasy and stuff like that.
Well, if he makes the money, that's up to him.
Yeah. So I just want you to know.
That's fine. As long as I'm not doing anything, that's I have nothing to do with that. It's fine.
Okay.
No.
Let me recap what just happened. Michel seems to be working hard here to get on the record with Emile that his business associate makes money from, as Michel says, gambling. And then he switches the story and says, from prostitution and drugs. This felt awkward to me, forced even, when I listened to the tape recording. I wondered why Michel would be saying all that. But Emile lets it slide without acknowledging much of it. Emile starts selling again, selling an investment in his business.
This is an investment. We're investing in the business. We make the money. We'll make a lot of money. It's a good business. You can grow this business very quickly.
Listen, maybe if you grow with him, and if it's a low process, you're going to go wherever he goes, my brother. So, you go big, he's going big. I mean, he's big already, but we want you to go big, so it's up to you.
So Michel is speaking Emile's language here. Emile wants to expand his business, create another weight loss chain, but even bigger than his last one. Then Michel explains that his associate's investment might be, well, a little unusual.
You know. So I think he's going to do a test trial with you. I don't know how much, but he wanted, he's going to let you know. He's going to do a test trial. I have no idea. 15, 20, 25,000. He just want to see,
That's fine.
Emile says he's fine with it, but really, Emile's irritated that Michel is talking about such a small amount of dough.
What do you think?
Well, I can't do much with 15, 20,000, but I mean, if he just wants to...
Yeah, he just want to see a bit.
I mean, Michel, just, I have money. Let me show you, I have...
Emile pulls out some bank statements and shows Michel that he has more than $600,000 in the bank. The message Emile sends is pretty clear. I'm looking for investors, but 15, 20 grand? That's not a lot. It's not serious money. Michel immediately sets his mind at ease. He explains that his business associate just likes to start small. That's all. Then more money will come. Much more.
I know, my brother. I know. Hey, listen. That's how he does it. I just want you to give you the heads up and, you do the negotiation with him. But he's a fair guy. So, But what you want to do, he's going to give you cash, you know that, and you're going to give him check. What do you want to do?
It just depends on what, I just still don't understand exactly when he wants everything back.
Yeah,
Like
so...
what kind of investment, like what... What schedule, all these kind of things.
What Emile says here is revealing. It's clear that he thinks Michel's friend is interested in investing in his business. A legitimate investment.
Okay, well, you guys can work it out. Okay? I'll be there too, but I'm excited.
Michel seems to be worried that he's losing Emile. Like maybe Emile isn't excited about the investment himself. Like maybe Emile thinks the amount of money involved is too small to take seriously.
It should do very well, my friend.
Oh, yeah?
Because every month we're doing better than last month.
Okay.
This company.
Listen, he can do 25 this week. The next day, another 20. He just want to see how things goes first.
I understand.
So,
I understand.
if everything goes and he's very comfortable, because this is new for him, weight loss, he never used any weight loss businesses before, so it's new. Body shop, restaurant,
right.
Nightclubs, that he knows how it works, but this is new for him, so, it's new, so you have to...
I understand.
Okay? But I vouch for you. I said how great guy you are.
It should be good. It will be good. Yeah.
The ball is in your court, brother.
All right, my friend.
Okay?
Sounds good.
So, I'm not going to take more of you.
Now the big night comes. Michel is finally going to introduce Emile to his business associate. They meet at another one of those shishi restaurants in Vegas, Botero Steakhouse, inside the Wynn Hotel and Casino on the Las Vegas Strip. As he arrives at the table, Michel introduces Emile to Dennis.
Hey! Emile, you good? Everything fantastic. Emile, this is Dennis. Dennis, nice to meet you, Emile. How are you, sir?
There's a lot of background noise in this recording. It's a busy restaurant. Dennis is full of compliments.
You're a fit guy too, man.
I do Pilates a little bit, and then I do Krav Maga a little bit.
Okay.
But no weight, nothing like that.
Here's how Emile remembers Dennis from this meeting.
He's drinking double blue label Scotch whiskeys, 5, 6 of them, which is a lot of alcohol.
Johnny Walker Blue is about $50 a shot in a Las Vegas casino bar. That puts a double close to $100 a drink. So 5, 6... Dennis alone is putting down at least $500 in alcohol.
And Dennis starts talking about his massage parlors. He has a real estate company, he has a transportation company, and some investment companies or whatever. And then he talks about these massage parlors. And he would say, well, all our clients are from Asia, and then sometimes they, who knows if they get a hand job or something like that.
At the meeting, Dennis starts talking about the clients of his massage parlors.
The way I look at, you got guys coming to the U.S. Either they're business people, whether they're married or not, man or man, right? Yeah, right? Man or man, okay? They're going to try finding something, right? They're away from their wives, they're overseas, their wives are in China or in the Philippines, so they're here. If you don't have the service, what do you want them to do? Go to Hollywood and walk the street? Guess what? You're going to get robbed, kidnapped, get beat up, and who knows what kind of shit they're going to catch.
Dennis makes it clear. He operates massage parlors in Los Angeles, where the women aren't just giving massages. They're also having sex for money. The bill then comes to the table, and Emile offers to pay his share, the half-hearted way you do when you're expecting the other person to pay, and you're just being polite.
How much do you want from me, Dennis?
No, this is mine. No, yeah. I mean, heck, man, it's way past your bedtime. I'm keeping you up, brother.
I don't have my milk.
I tell you, I'm sure you and I will run into each other, you know?
Emile leaves the dinner confused. He expected Dennis to want to know more about his company. He was considering an investment and all, right? But all Dennis talked about was his business, his happy-ending massage parlors, and his escapades in bars and clubs around the world.
They never asked, can I see your investment? Let me see your numbers. Let me see your bank accounts. Let me see anything of that nature. Right. And I would ask Michel over and over again, what about this? Don't you want to see this? Do you want me? He's like, no, it's okay, brother. They'll take your word for it. Okay. That type of thing. He always came back with an answer, even if it didn't make sense.
Emile senses something's odd. But he's got investors here, on the hook. And Emile's thinking, well, let's see where this goes. More after the break.
You're listening to Chameleon from Campside Media. You're listening to Chameleon from Campside Media.
So far in our story, I think Emile may have been a little confused by Michel and Dennis. Were they investors or not? All he knew was that they were in businesses that weren't exactly above board. But he still liked both of them and wanted to see where this would go. They were fun to be around. Even Emile's brother Gus thought so. Here's how Gus summed up Michel and Dennis for me.
Yeah, I know what kind of guy this is, sure. You know, the little guy who comes up to you with the 100 little Swiss watches in his pocket and says, hey, what do you want to buy? You want to buy this one? You want to buy that one? Hey, you look like the kind of guy that buys this. Hey, try this. This looks good on you. Try it. I give you best deal. That's the kind of guy that I felt this was Michel. You had Dennis, this other guy, Asian American, and also a lot of fun, wearing jeans and fit and tall and very friendly and high-fiving and buying drinks. Hey, what are you going to drink, dude?
To Emile, these guys were fun. But the next time they show up at Emile's weight loss clinic in Las Vegas, they're accompanied by a guy that Emile hasn't seen before.
Hi.
Are you guys here for Emile?
Yes.
Emile walks out from his office.
Hey guys, come on back. Good morning.
This new guy they're with, there's an intimidation factor about him.
He's this really tall guy, and he comes in and he says he's Chinese or something, and he's the bodyguard. He's Dennis's bodyguard. And he seemed all professional. He'd close the door, lock the door, and I remember Michel telling me this guy's black belt, 6 Dan and karate, and he knows how to kill.
As they're huddled in Emile's office, this large guy, Dennis's bodyguard, walks over to Emile's desk and plops down a large pile of cash.
Look at that. Yeah. Alright, so should I start counting?
If we want to make it, if you want to
before
finish
tomorrow,
before
right?
dinner,
It's gonna be a day if you want this one, right? And
So you ready?
is that good?
yeah, we're good. Yeah.
That noise you're hearing is a money counter. A money counter is about the size of a small printer. There's a tray at the top where you place the bills, and then those bills are sent to a lower tray as they're counted by the machine. A digital display shows the count in real time. The noise the machine makes comes from the individual notes passing rapidly through the counter at a rate of more than 1,000 per minute. Emile is running thousands of dollars in 5s, 10s, 20s through his counting machine.
Just keep counting that.
I just know the big picture, and it's 5-0 in there.
50, as in $50,000. Dennis and Michel have brought Emile $50,000 in cash, in small bills. And Emile's running all this money through his counter. It takes Emile the next 20 minutes to count most of the money.
Here's 46,000. According to this, 46,000. How much is total? 50,000?
50, yeah.
50.
Yeah, and
so
we counted
what I'm saying is
many
if this is almost 50 here, I can just assume that's good. I don't want to count those $41 bills, right?
We know.
We know.
This is about 5. I think it's 5, and so based on your count, that's about right.
So they agree on the count, $50,000. And that's when Dennis makes his request.
Can you cut 3 checks?
Yes. Okay.
So let's do this.
Do you want to write the names down or?
Yeah.
Up to you.
Dennis gives Emile 3 companies to write the checks out to: Pineda Printing Services, Mendez Movers, and Torres Gardening. In all, Dennis gives Emile $50,000 in cash. And Emile, in turn, gives Dennis 3 checks from his weight loss business account, totaling $46,000. But Emile doesn't have a good feeling about all this.
I remember getting very hot and started getting scared. And then I do it, and then it's done.
What's happening here, what Emile does, taking $50,000 in cash and then writing business checks for $46,000, that's money laundering. The $4,000 left over after the $46,000 in checks, that's Emile's cut, known in money laundering lingo as Emile's points. He got 8%. 8 points. People who want to conceal criminal proceeds use businesses that take in cash and mix their illicit cash with legitimate cash. You've probably heard of the mafia buying restaurants. Or maybe you saw Breaking Bad. Walter White buys a car wash. Those are money laundering fronts. The person whose money is being laundered hands over cash and then gets a check, minus a cut, to a company he controls, like a fake landscaping company, for services he never delivers. Once the check is deposited into his bank, the money is clean, legitimate, laundered. During one of my conversations with Emile, I'm in his clinic in Las Vegas. I ask him about this first transaction with Dennis.
Had you ever before or after laundered money?
No, absolutely not, no.
Had it ever occurred to you that money
No,
laundering would be
I didn't even know what money, I used to hear it on TV and I never even understood really what it meant. Just like wire fraud, I never understood it. I never understood those. I know what embezzlement means. I know what, cocaine distribution means or whatever. But I never even knew what money laundering exactly meant. And you can see me on the tape, I'm hesitating. I didn't want to do the first deal. And then I did it, and then thinking I was going to get investors.
Emile says he was feeling pressure. He needed to do this in order to build trust with Dennis. And then Dennis would invest in his company.
Michel told me, brother, just do this one thing so they trust you and then we'll get investors. We have people in Malaysia. They have nutritional supplements. I remember telling me stories and stories and stories about investors. They're huge. They'll buy lots of your weight loss kits and send them to Malaysia and China and so on and so forth. There was always that, do this and we're going to do all this for you.
Okay, let's get back to Emile's office. Dennis and Michel are there, and Emile's just counted Dennis's $50,000. And he's given Dennis 3 checks totaling $46,000. After he's got the checks, Dennis leans in and asks Emile a question.
This is a dumb question to ask. You got the funds, right?
Guaranteed. Go to Chase right now.
No.
If you want. They'll know me after.
Dennis's dumb question, whether Emile has enough money in the bank, is actually a critical one. He wants to make sure Emile's check is going to go through, because if it bounces, well, that ain't money laundering, and he just lost a ton of cash. After Dennis and Emile finish up their transaction, Michel asks Emile to come outside to talk privately. Emile and Michel are standing in front of Emile's building, number 8687.
And it's strange because I don't know where Dennis is at it, but Michel's like, come out, brother, I want to tell you something. So we go out of my clinic, out the door, and we're standing outside. He said, listen, now you're part of us, you're our friend, you're our family. Do you have any problems? Do you need people to be, taught a lesson? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Taught a lesson. Michel tells Emile that if he has any problems, anybody giving him trouble, that, he and Dennis will take care of them. It sounds like mafia shit. What the hell's Emile got himself into? But it turns out, Emile has no idea who Dennis and Michel really are.
We're live.
Okay, good. All right.
I didn't do the premium.
I'll do it. Yeah, good.
Good luck.
Right. Case number 281 N-LV-466-3064. Today is October 27th, 2014, approximately 11:40 a.m.
This is High Rollers. In the next episode, you'll hear how the investigation of Emile Bouari got started.
CHS will meet with Emile Bouari, Las Vegas, Nevada.
You'll learn how Emile's free-spirited friend Mary gets lured into the trap.
Well, I tried 2 guys at once.
Did you? Have you?
Yeah, I have.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's alright.
It was okay.
Of course, one got jealous, but...
And you'll discover that Emile gets himself in deep.
I mean, how much is this now? Can you ask me total?
Total is 150 and 25, 175.
175.
Chameleon Season 2 comes from Campside Media. It's hosted by me, Trevor Aronson. Our executive producers are Vanessa Grigoriadis and Adam Hoff. Alex Yablon fact-checked the series. Margot Williams also contributed to research. Mark McAdam composed the theme song. Doug Slaywin and Sam Leeds provided production support. The executive producers at Campside Media are Josh Dean, Vanessa Grigoriadis, Adam Hoff, and Matt Scher. If you enjoyed High Rollers, please rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts. It really does help other listeners like you find the show. And make sure to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Take me in, Sin City. Take me in, Sin City. When you're in Sin City, no use confessing your sins.